let's get right to it. Yeah. So for those that don't know, yesterday we actually talked about this yesterday on stream. I actually showed this exact thing on stream yesterday. But if you're new and you have not realized this just yet, so recently there have been some leaks that came out regarding the unfinished mobile projects, or what could have been the other projects that ArenaNet was working on the side before the layoff that happened in 2019. There was a bunch of projects that they were working on, and nobody at the time knew what the projects were. Unfortunately, when the layoffs happened, they also announced that there were projects in the works that just never ended up happening, or never coming into an end product. And unfortunately, we still till today might not be able to see, or even in the future, these projects might not ever happen in real life again. They might just be what they are in their stage of development. So that happened, right? So just to give you guys some context, I'm going to read this again. We've already covered it, but just to cover it again today. So the title: Arena artist leaves the studio portfolio surprised. After the changes of the last few days at ArenaNet and the departure of Murdoch, Megan Glennon is now leaving the Seattle studio, and her portfolio leaves a lot of unanswered questions. That's who she is. That's her right there. So the artist leaves the studio. Megan Glennon has been an environmental artist for Guild Wars 2 since 2016. Most recently, she worked on the Fractal Sankwai Summit, which is popular among the community. Now she's leaving ArenaNet, as she announced on Twitter. And yes, she recently left. This is a while ago. I mean, this is we're talking just a few months, or like a month or two ago, right? So again, this is where the date is. She left like a month ago. So not even that long, really. There's a sword fight. Wait, who's having a sword fight? Is that happening? I don't know what they're doing, like at the bottom there. Like they're just dancing right now. Anyway, so that was happened, right? She left, and in 2018, so this is when she was working at ArenaNet, she took over the design of 2 instant cards for the episode Everything or Nothing. And this was during LS4 season. She was also responsible for the first half of Bureau Marches and the second half of the Drizzle Forest Coast map, of course, in the latest Icebrood Saga. It was a challenge, especially on the Drizzle Forest Coast, because another artist had already designed the first half. This and more can also be found in her portfolio. So I guess these were the sketches that they're talking about. You can clearly see this is, I think, Drizzlewood, the second half of the map, and I think this is Biora Marches. Biora Marches. All right, so under the personal projects, Megan Glennon shows some interesting projects. In addition to some textures and concept arts, 2 3D concepts in particular stand out due to their familiar appearance. These show environments that are very similar to the world of Guild Wars 2 that could provide some answers to what ArenaNet has been working on over the past few years alongside its hobby horse. So this is, I don't know what this is. I didn't think I clicked this yesterday, but let's see what it takes us to. I think the link doesn't work though anymore. Because I think the link was okay, but like now it's been taken down because it's not loading anymore. Let's try it on. Let's go on Edge. Yeah, I think the link got taken down. So I think this is what that shaman was saying is the link doesn't work anymore. The one in the actual article. Is she the one going to Riot Games upcoming MMO? I'm not sure. I did not follow up on that, but if someone can confirm that to Goku, is she the one that was going to Riot Games? I don't know. I can't really say. So yeah, in the past, ArenaNet has always looked for developers for other projects, including the Unreal Engine 4. The concepts look a lot like Epic's engine. The clean design of the concept images and the fact that, according to her LinkedIn page, she has experience in the engine speak for Unreal Engine 4. And these are what I was talking about. Yeah, we saw this yesterday on stream, but to show you guys again for more context, if you have not seen this already, yeah, these are very detailed images of whatever they must have been working on for the engine. Like it's pretty good. Like it's very detailed. Like you might even say this is worthy of being a Guild Wars 2 map. It's very clean though. I don't know if this is also the picture specifically they're talking about that has the Unreal Engine 4 as its process or not. I'm not sure if this is the engine that's being used, but it looks so detailed that it might not be the mobile game that we were thinking of. I mean, because a lot of the leaks pointed towards this could have been that mobile game that they were working on. ArenaNet had mentioned, or there was in some leaks that came out during the time that ArenaNet was working on the mobile game before the layoffs happened and everything was scrapped, right? So I'm not sure, but it's very detailed, and we said this yesterday. It's very the detail on this. Like, I mean, this looks like a Canthan map, right? I mentioned yesterday it could have looked like somewhere in Kryta, but then when I looked at the second image or the third image, it really shows a striking resemblance to something being in Kanta. And look at the details, guys. I mean, this is like amazing, to be honest. Like, look at this. There's just a lot of details in these maps. It's hard to say. Someone mentioned that they could have been working on some chess game. I'm not sure how these maps would have been tied into a chess game, but honestly, even I mentioned this, a top-down view game could have been interesting to see, whether it was a mobile game or something else, but a top-down view game would work wonders, actually. And look at the second image, it's very detailed. Again, this is a lot of details. It's almost like as if this is a map in Guild Wars 2 itself. Like, you could imagine that this could have been a map in Guild Wars 2. So they're very beautiful. I don't think they're Guild Wars 3 mocks, because if there was anything to do with Guild Wars 3, you know, I mean, they could have made the announcement that they were working on it, maybe. Or maybe they, you know, they want to be secretive on that. But I doubt there's development for Guild Wars 3 underway when there's still probably the End of Dragons expansion, and possibly there really has, I think Guild Wars 2 still has one more expansion after End of Dragons in it, like to complete its lifetime. I do believe that this game is still another 3-4 years before we can call it quits. And of course, if they manage to somehow update the engine of this game, if they can manage to update the engine, because it's using a very old engine, right? Direct 9. If they can manage to overhaul the engine and make it work, this game can go for another 10 years. I mean, World of Warcraft has a very simple engine, but the way that World of Warcraft is, because of the simplicity of its engine, yes, the graphics are not the best. And they acknowledge that's the way that they want the game to stay in the terms of the style of the visuals. But because of that game is, you know, very easily able to sustain 15 years plus in its period, right? So if Guild Wars 2 managed to somehow fix their spaghetti code, I do believe this game can get another 10 years with a graphics overhaul. And not to say that Guild Wars 2's graphics are bad now. Guild Wars 2 has some very good graphics. Right now, I mean, it's still one of a very visually good-looking game. It's just the engine is a little tired. So this is the second map, and then this third map is, you know, reminiscent of the first picture that we just showed. But again, this is where it made me confirm this might be somewhere in Kanta, because these style of like looking at the style up close, this architecture is very much a Kantan-themed architecture. They did mention Guild Wars 3 anywhere from 2025 to 2026. That could be realistic. I mean, we're in 2021. If this expansion releases this year or early next year, that means we have up until 2023 or 4. And then if they release one more expansion, that will take us into 26 or 7. And that's possibly like the expansion that would link Guild Wars 2 to Guild Wars 3. So then all development for Guild Wars 2 would probably stop at around 2026 or 7 after the next expansion, and then maybe Guild Wars 3 is released anywhere in 2028, 2029. But if they move the game to DirectX 12 like WoW did, it can go 15 plus years, but I doubt they will do that. They will just make a new game probably. The artwork looks really good. You know, I honestly, it would be a shame for them to start a new game from scratch because the MMO market in general has been tired, right? Nobody has the time to dedicate to a new MMO, and there is a hype. There is hype about a new MMO, right? You have this with Ashes of Creation. You see this with New World. Like there's hype towards new content that's coming out, new MMOs. But I don't think Guild Wars 2 or Guild Wars would benefit from a new game. Besides the overhaul, I think if they could just somehow put the manpower to getting it done in Guild Wars 2, it'd be more than enough to get another 10 years into this game. And I do think a Guild Wars 3 will happen, but I would prefer if Guild Wars 3 was something that came out in 2030, to be honest, you know, or 2032. Because I do believe this game still has another 5 years in it to go. And honestly, we have not been able to see the true potential of this game. You know, so it will be exciting to see if they can overhaul this. So this is the third picture, and again, they're very detailed. Look at this detail, right? It's almost like as if this is a map in Guild Wars 2. It's just, look at that detail, like it's amazing. And then here's like another shot of the same map itself. Again, I believe this picture here is actually somewhere in the same region as the other pictures. It's just maybe a different map entirely, or maybe just a different section of an existing map. So maybe it's not like another map on its own. Maybe it's all in the same map and it's just another region. But this here, this is reminiscent of these three pictures. The first one, the third one, and the fourth one. These are all in the same map, I'm assuming. What hooked me on Guild Wars 2 was the story, and it's still going on. That's why I'm still playing this game. Yeah, it really is. The story of this game, the lore of this game. A lot of people love the lore of Guild Wars 1. And Guild Wars 2 has some great lore. I think it's a very good... They have some good storytelling. There's some instances where there's no continuity, or when they've kind of started doing a shock factor and killing off some characters for the sake of killing them off. Or where they bring back a... You know, it's kind of like it's become like a TV show. Where they bring back a character that wasn't seen in some season and then all of a sudden they die in the current season. Although I will say, like, I like the style of how Guild Wars 2 tries to be its own TV show, where every season is like, oh, which character is gonna die. Because that also makes you, you know, it kind of makes you like resonate and think of all the characters that you're with and who might not make it to the next side. And we've lost some characters along the way. Right, playing Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, and even in the Living Stories episodes themselves, the Living Seasons, we've lost some characters, right? I mean, this Ice Boot Saga recently, we've lost a few characters. I won't name any, but, you know. I still have loads of fun playing Guild Wars 2. Don't see myself quitting anytime soon, yeah. Just sad that this last chapter stuff doesn't have much story. Yes, I do agree. Latest stories are quite underwhelming to run. Yes, that's kind of my issue, because it's something that I've mentioned with the Ice Boot Saga. It feels like what we have now, the Champions updates, feel like their own entire thing. Like if you were to play the Ice Boot Saga from start to finish right now, you would be like, it feels like this is a different season. It doesn't even feel like the first half of the season has anything to do with the second half, because first half of the season builds up this anticipation and that you're gonna go, and it peaks at like this confrontation with Jormag, right? And you have all these side motivations of different characters going on. And then just as we hit that peak confronting Jormag, the expansion being an announcement is exciting, but I feel like that's where it cut the legs of the story, because right after that episode where we confront Jormag, all of a sudden we're now in the DRMs and it feels so underwhelming. Like it was just about to get good. And now we're watching some, like, it's basically like what we're watching now is not like a episode, but like what happens off screen in episodes. That's what it feels like. And it sucks, because like there's some really good character progression in the Ice Boot Saga if you've played only the first half before the DRMs became a thing. I hope they will kill Bram, or at least give us a chance to do so in the story. Yeah, I hope so too. I think everybody would vote yes on that in the Guild Wars 2 community. It's more like the Pandemic Saga stuff to keep us busy while they work on End of Dragons. Yeah, it's funny enough that like we actually got more content during the pandemic, and like now we're not kind of getting that content, which makes me believe that the episodes we got in 2020 were actually like almost done or complete, and this is why they were so detailed, like you would usually get in a living story episode, like the typical episode like content, right? Except we also had strikes to go along with them. So they might have already been kind of done, and Champions was being worked on in 2020, and of course that's where, you know, now they've been working on the expansion, so they ended up coming up with this Champions update. They linked most of the story with the arms because we're lazy to make anything better. It is really a filler. Yes, it is a filler, Reckless and Mox. I do agree with you guys. They killed Traherne, but keeping this twat Bram alive for so long. I mean, he really believes he's the one to kill Jormag. I mean, if you say so, Bram. I mean, so what? You broke a tooth from the dragon. That's like, don't dragons like literally like shed their teeth? What if like he didn't even break a tooth? What if like the dragon was just like replacing its tooth, and like he just happened to hit the one that was being replaced? Think about that for a sec. We're making a big deal that he knocked the tooth off a dragon, but what if like Jormag's sitting and it's like, I mean, I was already replacing that teeth. Like, I don't know why he's... Oh, that tooth. I was already replacing that tooth. Why does he think like anything was happening? Anyway, so yeah, these are very detailed screenshots. So to go back to this, these are just very detailed. Absolutely wish we knew what this was ever going to be, a mobile game or something in maybe the game, and this kind of gives you a hint of what could have been if we had a graphic overhaul in Guild Wars 2, which I mentioned this before, and I do feel like if they worked on overhauling the engine in 2020, we would have at least had 30-40% of the engine overhaul ready and done by now. You know, it's not the sense of it's impossible, it's that they have a spaghetti code and they don't want to take the risk. But this is why you have an internal code that what you could play around with. If you play around with the internal code, that's not going to affect the live code. So whatever you mess in the internal code, but you just don't have to implement it in the live code. So the game can still be run, but you're just working on the internal code in the background. And if you started in 2020, I mean, we'd be in 2021 and at least most of it would have been ready at least, right? And again, they could have done, I don't know, 5-6 patches, like huge update patches for the game to update the graphic overhaul. And you don't have to do it all in one go, so bits and pieces could have been done to make sure it's working and it's fine. And then by the end of the year, they could have probably been done with it. I mean, a year and a half would have been easy for them. They just, maybe it's not the manpower. Maybe really ArenaNet needs maybe another 30-40 devs to do that in the side on their own project. So maybe it's really comes down to their manpower. They don't have enough people working on the game. To go back to a couple of your... we got Kanak though. He's fun. Yeah, he is limited. It's almost zero. Yeah, he had a lot of presence in the early story and like in the early chapter or the early Living World seasons. But I think he's been basically MIA. He's basically that like character that returns every now and then at this point. He has a nice personality. He has a snarky personality, very sarcastic personality. But the thing is with Kanak, like we've kind of explored his story in some way. So it feels like now it's not really much to explore on his story. So it's kind of like, already had somewhat of a dialogue with him, somewhat of a history with him. But now it doesn't feel like we have much to go on. And I don't think ArenaNet is really interested to continue any interesting arcs with him. It was kind of like we defeated them before and now he's just one of the allies, one of the good guys. Mr. Leopard, thank you so much for the follow. Again, look at this detail in this map, for example. I mean, someone was saying this could have been in Kantas still, like one of the sewers that has an overgrown art now to it. It could be. Again, I said this reminded me of the jumping puzzle in the Silver Waste map, the underground Skritz tunnel jumping puzzle. But this could very well be something in Kanta as well. I mean, that, or honestly, it's still something we don't know. It could be just a random map they thought of for whatever game whether they were working on, that was unfortunately put down because NCSoft put the hammer on their head, told them you got to work on the actual game. So again, yeah, beautiful maps, really. And then this is Gandharan Fields. We confirmed this actually because a few pictures down the line, this is actually just Gandharan Fields. This was just artwork of the early map. Again, we've seen this. This is actually a place where we always hang out with the Griffin community. So we've seen this windmill. This place is a place in the game right now. So this is just early concept footage of what probably was before they implemented the map in Guild Wars 2. So this is probably just like their concept arts. This is South Sun Cove, which is very, very distinguishable. So this is easily South Sun Cove. And again, this is that artwork image that we were talking about. So yeah, it just kind of confirms that. This one right here. So that's that. And there you go. That's the windmill that we were talking about. Yeah, we were always here with the Griffin community. We literally with the Griffins and everything. And there's like literally a cave right in front of this windmill. I doubt that. I haven't seen Timey for so long. I don't even remember if she was in the recent champ chapters. She's in most chapters, actually. She's mostly on the radio at this point. She's literally become in a radio sense. But Timey has probably had like the most appearances since season 1. And also Timey was not someone that we met in the first episode of season, or the first like update of Living World season 1. I believe she came in only a little after. Like she was in like maybe the second last update before Lion's Arch was destroyed. I think she comes in the update that introduced also Edge of the Mist. If I'm not mistaken. But she came in basically about a year into the story of Living World. So she came in a year into season 1, and that's where she's been with us since then. I think the update that she came in had to do with Maya Quinn or something, or Maya Trin, the one that you fight in the Aether Blade Fractal that you see now. That was basically like a Living World season 1 episode that you fought her in. So she came in around that time. That just shows how I'm interested in the Dragon Champ stories. Yeah, I love Ritlog. I mean, Dragon Champs, not other stories. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but that's the history of Timey. Again, this is South Sun Cove, like the previous image showed. This is it in its entirety. And I believe this is it. This ends it, right? And look at this detail, by the way. This is South Sun in, I think, Unreal Engine 4. Look at the detail on that. That is amazing. That is beautiful. I just wish we could get to witness something like that happening in Guild Wars 2. It'd be amazing to see what Guild Wars 2 looked like in the next engine upgrade, if they ever consider doing that, you know. It's just unfortunate that we might or might not see that. It just depends on their manpower and if they're willing to dedicate the time. I mean, ain't it when they've shown, when they work on something, they've shown amazingly amazing features, right? Like when they've shown that when they can work on something and focus well, they can deliver. ArenaNet is not a company that you know, can't get a lot of, like, they can't get some things right, but when ArenaNet does work and when it's motivated, ArenaNet can produce exciting content for the game. So it's really, if they can just manage to dedicate a team, 20-30 people to work on the engine on the side, and you know, even the End of Dragons, I'm sure there's a lot of high hopes and expectations in End of Dragons, but honestly, I will still probably be whatever hopes and expectations I put up for End of Dragons and what anyone else does, I will still be very much excited in whatever they produce, whatever they release. I will still be very excited, like the same way how I had the same excitement when Heart of Thorns came out, when Path of Fire came out. Now I will definitely say Path of Fire was a little bit of a letdown because of the size of the expansion, but the maps were beautiful and it did hit a lot of nostalgic moments for us, and I think Kanta will hit that too in End of Dragons. But I'm excited to see they understand, and I hope they know that there is a lot on their plate to get this expansion right. This one expansion needs to be the one that gets them back on track again, and I do believe this new team of ArenaNet wants to leave a good impression. So yeah, I mean, when they're focused, ArenaNet can deliver. You know, ArenaNet can deliver when they're focused. So that's what those say, right? So continue off from here. Already in 2016, ArenaNet sought a Mobile game designer, the second division of Megan Glennon's concept is very reminiscent of a possible mobile game. And again, some of these, again, this is Queen Valley, so I think this might be in Queensdale, I don't know. But this is Kindaran Fields, and this is in South Sun Cove. But yeah, again, this is possibly the mobile game that we never got to see. A central board line is striking in the two images. This suggests that it could have been an auto chess game. The terrain, especially the windmill, is reminiscent of the Kongan Tale or the Gandharan Fields in Guild Wars 2. The last picture could be the Southern Light Bay due to the water fields. However, both projects have been cancelled. So yeah, again, this is unfortunate. We don't know what game it is. It could have been a mobile chess game. It could have been a top-down game. Honestly, I think a top-down game would do wonders for ArenaNet. And maybe the money they use from the mobile game could have been fed into the main MMO of the game, you know, and that could have actually had more money for us to get more content, maybe more resources for them to continue development of Guild Wars 2. So I do think the mobile game could have maybe saved them, but maybe they overestimated how much time and effort it was going to take to develop their mobile game, and maybe they just didn't have enough resources to even get it done. And maybe that's why NCSoft came down and said, this is not going anywhere, we're going to cut you down. I do believe maybe they could have saved them in some way. Maybe the mobile game could have funded Guild Wars 2, because, you know, we've seen the mobile game is a billion-dollar industry. It's even bigger than the MMO industry at this point, so really could have helped. But yeah, that is the leaks, guys. If you guys want the link, I will link this in the stream below, and you're welcome to see it. And I'll even link this in the YouTube description as well when I upload this video. So very interesting to see what could have been some concepts of the game, and what the game could have looked like in Unreal Engine. And yeah, overall, it's sad we might not get to see what could have been, but I hope right now the focus with End of Dragons, there's a huge focus on delivering on a product that will get us excited, that will not only appeal to the players of today that play the game, but also new players. And maybe this might be the expansion that can put Guild Wars 2 back on the map, because Guild Wars 2, honestly, for the longest period of time, is still probably one of the top MMOs. No matter what anyone says, Guild Wars 2 is a top MMO. It's just one of those underrated MMOs because it doesn't have enough content to compete with the other MMOs. But in terms of the face value of what you get with Guild Wars 2, this is a very good MMO, and it's a very satisfying MMO. And overall, yeah, it's I would put it in the top 3 MMOs in the current market right now, at least the ones that are released. And hopefully we'll get to see what End of Dragons can bring to the table. So that's that, guys. That was the leaks I wanted to cover. Again, I will cut this part of the segment in and upload this tomorrow to YouTube, so you'll probably expect to see this video up on YouTube tomorrow. There might not be a giveaway. I don't know. I'm still thinking. I don't want to do too many giveaways on my YouTube videos, just because I want the community, like you guys, to really be able to like maybe engage in the comment section without me having to force a giveaway to get people to talk. You know, I really want to build like a genuine connection with you guys that doesn't rely on always giving away stuff. So now I do give away gold every day on my stream, or whenever I'm streaming. Any stream I'm stream, there's always going to be a giveaway. That's just the style of my giveaway or my stream anyway. Like, that's something that's unique to this channel that you don't find in many other channels, right? You only see that in Enko and Souls' channel, and Castiano. We're the only 4 people who actually give away gold on our stream. But you know, of course, I would love for more engagement in the YouTube comments as well. What is my top 3 MMOs? Right now, Guild Wars 2, and I would say I don't really have a top. The other 2 I don't know, because I don't play any other MMOs at the moment. But I would say the top 3 that I think in general in the market right now would be Guild Wars 2, World of Warcraft, and then 3 you could make a case between I don't know, old school RuneScape. I don't know if I want to say old school RuneScape. It is an MMO, but it's also I don't know, it's not like a complete MMO where you can buy and download something. I don't know. It is booming though. It's funny enough, I think old school RuneScape does have more player base than actually Guild Wars 2. A little unfortunate though, but yeah, for me, I would say you could make an argument either for Final Fantasy or BDO. I was gonna say ESO, but I've seen more people praise BDO than Elder Scrolls Online. So for that reason, I would say number 3 would have to go to either BDO or Final Fantasy, and then whoever makes the case for that. ESO has some pretty good features, but I think lacks in some crafting features in the game, and their combat system is not very well done. BDO has a very okay combat system, but suffers from something such as I think no, actually BDO has a very good what's it called, graphic look to it, like a visually stunning game. I say it also kind of suffers maybe from the combat system, but it's mostly that the grindy game, and that's actually what BDO's complaints have been, that it's grindy. Old school RuneScape is really good when it comes to involving community with new ideas. Let the player vote in polls. Yeah, they do, but I don't think MMOs should always rely on what people want. Sometimes what people want might not actually be the best thing for the game. Sometimes it's good to just put what you think should be best for the game as a developer, what you think should take. But you should always listen to your audience. You should always listen to the feedback, for sure. Guild Wars 2 takes 5th place by player base. Yeah, I think player base, it probably is not in the top 3. It's definitely maybe top 5, but yeah. BDO looks good, but it's boring because it's Eternal Grind and no group content. Yeah, that's the thing with BDO. I think that's old school RuneScape apart from other MMOs. I mean, anyone can kind of get into old school RuneScape. I think that's what sets it apart. You can just make an account and start playing today. There are free to play MMOs, but you're not. Old school RuneScape is free to play anyway, and there's no limited features that you couldn't play if you just didn't buy the game, right? So like in Guild Wars 2, even though it's free to play, a free to play account has certain limitations than if you bought the expansions. In old school RuneScape, the limited features that you can't access are just to do with if you paid to be a subscriber, like a sub, and those just unlock better reward loot systems for you. But that does not mean you can't be a free-to-play account in old school RuneScape. So, all right, let's close this giveaway, guys. Let's get back to Guild Wars 2. That might be it for the stream. We'll do one more giveaway after this, and then we gotta host somebody. Exclamation point rigged for 50 gold on the line, guys. Exclamation point rigged, 50 gold on the line. The best subscription system for me is ESO. So I'm not sure what the subscription system is in ESO and Final Fantasy. This is something that ArenaNet, I know they don't want to implement with Guild Wars 2, but I do think Guild Wars 2 would do amazing if we did have money coming in from the player base, if we did have something to feed this game, something like subscriptions. I mean, I wouldn't mind paying for the for the Living World season. I wouldn't mind paying for that. Like, I mean, they're basically DLCs, so. And if it means like waiting longer to get like a full DLC of Living World episodes, so be it. But that means if we can pay for it, that just means more resources for ArenaNet, right? And that means more content. I actually had a Guild Wars 2 ad on YouTube today. Hey, let's go. Beetle Race starts soon. Let me see if there's any we can host. It's not like it's a free game. We pay to buy the game. Well, I mean, it's pay to play, but you could still, I mean, you only ever have to pay if you want the expansions. If you're someone who doesn't care about the expansions, you can still very much just play a base game Guild Wars 2. Of course, there's just too many limitations, but I mean, that's still not the same. Even if you pay for the expansions, that's still not the same as a subscription system where you have to pay every single month. Think of it like that. I mean, you have money coming into Final Fantasy and money coming into World of Warcraft, and they basically are able to generate money and content because they have more resources to use. Like, how much money does I mean, World of Warcraft has what, like an average of 3-4 million players active right now, right? Like currently. Now, I'm not talking about their peak, but now, and it costs like $10 per sub. I mean, they make $40 million a month just on subs. Think of it like that way. How much does they are limited, yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, Darkbringer has a point. I mean, you pay 15, like, look at the, like, come on, I mean, $15, like, and that's when Guild Wars 2 is on sale. The regular fee is usually $30, right? For $30, you can buy basically the whole game, basically, right? And then, of course, you do have to spend money on the DLC, something that ArenaNet might need to actually clarify. They never make it clear to people that you have to pay for the Living World episodes, even though, like, we know, but, like, we know that you have to log in to get it free. But I mean, let's see, you pay maybe upwards of maybe $40 or $45 for all the Living World seasons plus the game, and you have access to the 2 expansions, base game. Like, come on, like, you basically just paid for like a regular game on a PlayStation or an Xbox, except you got 8 years worth of content to play with. Other MMOs, it's, you have to pay for their expansions, their upcoming expansions, right? Separate DLCs. They're not the same as buying them and then you get the base game or whatever previous expansion, unless they do like a bundle deal. So that's not really the same. And on top of that, you also have to subscribe every month to play. How much money do they generate? They generate a lot of money. And I think, you know, will host Roy when he goes live. Can you check for me, Deathblade, like when Roy goes live? Because I might delay it until he goes live. All right, we're closing the first giveaway and then we'll draw the next one in a bit. Jinxie, congratulations on the one. You gotta put your account ID in the stream chat below. Congratulations, Jinxie. Those sub-based games, they have subs, they don't rely on cash shop. A battle pass, I think a battle pass could help, but I think like ArenaNet needs to come up with a better business model for the game, because as much as they want to keep the free subscription model alive, and this was basically like their mission statement from Guild Wars 1 is what they set themselves apart as, like, we don't require a subscription system. It really is hurting, like and the community has mentioned, we don't mind paying for the DLCs if it meant we'll be getting better content, if it meant it would help ArenaNet